in a 4v3.
Everfrog Esports trying to find an angle they can, trying to find somebody out of position.
We're gonna go through on this. Oh, what a roll. We're gonna deflect. See White gonna go in.
It's going to be a really, really interesting one.
Oh my god. All of this competition could be so damn close, so I cannot wait for us to finally decide who's going to be the champion. We are expecting some chaos, some great moments.
A beast mode has killed 3. Only gonna really need that rampage, so it's gonna clear it out. Santi gonna get themselves a big old 4K. Oh, Santi's getting rid of 3, clearing out the house.
That is crazy.
Nunji actually kills 3 people.
This team feels entirely different on this faster composition. Now Saga is hanging around, getting onto the high ground. Post bomb's gonna stick on the Leaky. You're not gonna be able to survive it at the end of the day. Boom! Manages to find a 3K!
Rio shoving this Ana into a corner. Woo! One more for the road for Rio.
That is all signs go. Melophobia with 3 Melophobia. Start the fight. They'll end the fight. Oh my god. Pibble Platoon, they have to play aggressively into this energy. Popping off in a moment where you needed just that. Ruby in that backline. Oh, the flick. Looking for it. Oh my goodness. The 4th one as well. Do they get the ace? They get the ace.
Welcome, folks. Good evening in EU time. We are here with some more Masters Division playoffs action for you. A lower bracket match between Couch Potatoes and Pibble Platoon, the loser of which will end their season here tonight. The winner gets to move on and have the illustrious honor of facing off against Plate Group to continue staying alive in the lower bracket. My name is Rags. I'm here joined by Sky Knight to break down all the action today. Sky Knight, how are we feeling about this one?
Pretty good. I mean, we've seen these two teams meet relatively recently, to my knowledge. Recent game between them, I think it was just a few weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago. I don't actually remember the specific date, but it did end in a 3-0 victory to Pibble Platoon. So, looking confident going into this game are Pibble Platoon. Recent games as well for both teams have been a little bit of a struggle. This is losers bracket round 1. So, you know, a lot to play for these two teams because, like you said, whoever loses this game will be going out.
Yeah, but of course, this is not the only match that is on broadcast today. Yes, we're in evening EU time, but once we get to evening in my neck of the woods, we've got Drop the Guns versus BGSU Falcons, and then Unwoke Yaoi Enthusiasts and Aura Fury, a late night match going on. So plenty more to come today, but for now, we're focusing in on our Masters Division bracket for the EU segment of things. Not so many teams here in the playoffs, a much narrower bracket than a lot of our other divisions, but that just means the competition is all the more heated. So yeah, as you highlighted, Sky Knight, neither team really gave a phenomenal showing. A 3-1 scoreline can often be a little bit closer than that indicates, but yeah, both of them had serious losses in the winners bracket starting off, so now each of them fighting to stay alive in the lower bracket. And as you mentioned, Pibble Platoon won out the last time these two teams faced. It was, you know, a good bit of time ago, a few weeks at the very least, so there's been a chance to actually get some things together. Couch Potatoes, I believe, are coming into this at the slightly higher seed. I believe we're looking at the 3 and number 4 seeds, yes, here in the division. So there's still a chance. Both these teams have their bright spots. They have their, you know, their winning facilities to them. So we'll see which one comes out at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, both teams can pop off. I mean, definitely. I mean, being 3rd and 4th seed in this kind of tournament, right? There are, you know, not many teams in the playoffs, so it's like it's not awfully as high as 3rd and 4th might sound. And the recent matches, I mean, 3-1. To Plate Group, 3-0 to one more time. Whoever wins this has to play Plate Group again. So Couch Potatoes, if they do manage to get one up on Pibble Platoon this time, I think they'll be licking their lips looking at that rematch. Because like you said, I mean, 3-1's, you know, the scoreline doesn't even like show the whole story, right? Even a 3-0, it can still be a relatively close 3-0 to an extent. Sometimes it is a bit of a stomp, but we'll see if it's a stomp today. If Pibble Platoon can go up 2-0 in 2026 versus Couch Potatoes, or if Couch Potatoes can book that rematch with versus Plate Group.
Yeah, honestly, it feels like the top 2 teams right now, that is Plate Group and one more team, both kind of head and shoulders above the rest of the pack, right? Not just here in the playoffs, but even leading into this, the two higher seeds clearly doing a solid job all the way through the season, you know, through the mid-season tournament and into now the postseason here in playoffs. So it's going to be a tall order. Even surviving today's match does not mean that you're in the clear. Going up against Plate Group in another elimination match next up is going to be difficult. And of course, even if you win that one out, one more team 3-0'd Plate Group to send them down to the lower bracket in that next match. So one more team really looking to be the dominant force to beat. Whoever makes it here today has a 50-50 shot of making it into the grand finals. So a lot of effort ahead of you no matter which way you slice it. But of course, that's what the postseason's for. These teams are more than expecting it. They've honestly, like, most of these teams have played each other multiple times in this season. Just with how few teams there are in this division, it's pretty rare that a team like Pibble Platoon and Couch Potatoes have only played each other once. They've played against most of the other teams multiple times here, whether that's regular season or in the mid-season tournament.
Yeah, I mean, even Couch Potatoes in the last 2 of the 5 games, 2 of them have been against Plate Group, and it's the same, but for one more team. Or Pibble Platoon, they played one more team 2 times there as well. Both games ended 1-3 to Plate Group for Couch Potatoes. And then Pibble Platoon did manage to get a map off of one more team a few weeks ago, so maybe it is a little bit closer, or closer between these 2 teams than maybe those scorelines represent. But it's like you say, I mean, we get in the playoffs. Some teams get better in the playoffs, some teams get a little bit worse, or just kind of stay the same in playoff environments. You know, it's like kind of like the clutch or kick kind of moment, right? It's, you really need to pop on it. It's really prevalent in a loser's bracket scenario.
Without doubt, but folks, enough spinning our wheels. We know where we're headed for our first map of the day. We've got it sorted. The teams have decided. It's going to be Nepal for our first control map of the series. I like anytime we get sent somewhere besides Lijiang Tower. Nothing against the map itself, but it showcases a bit of diversity of map pool. It really indicates to me that I believe, since it was the last one to drop down, well, I mean, they both dropped down essentially in the same bracket, in the same round here. So, yeah, the choice is always a fascinating one on Control. They all have their similarities, but also some serious differences. I think Nepal is one of the most, you know, diverse maps within its submaps. All of them playing wildly differently here, whether that is on Village or, of course, into Sanctum, of course, the Shrine. So, tons of variety that you can play compositionally speaking at this stage of the game. And I'm curious to see what these teams want to roll out with, right? The comp is pretty wide open right now in terms of your overall meta game. Your Divas and Zaryas are still kind of leading the charge, but we've seen a lot more things like Mauga compositions kind of creep up here at all stages, especially in EU and NA Overwatch.
What I want to know is if we're going to see any team go for like the cat bashing little combos that have been particularly, you know, trending in the East in Korea. It's also been popping up in China as well. Obviously, at the moment it won't be in EU or NA because we haven't got those games going on in a professional tier. But cat bashing has seen a little bit of prevalence. You know, it was kind of popular when cat first released. Kind of went down a little bit because people realized, you know, why play cat as someone to carry people? Why not just play cat as like support tracer with her territorial perk? But when they reworked that, cat fell out a little bit of the meta. But now she seems to be coming just a little bit back in maybe a bit of a goofy way. So I'll see if either of those teams really go for that kind of more interesting style of play.
Yeah, it certainly provides a bit of a, you know, surprise on your opponent, seeing someone come sailing over the ramparts there on a bastion. But teams of this level don't usually get surprised by that for too much length of time. Like, that might work for a single play, a single strategy, but you can also respond to that pretty quickly, make some hero swaps of your own, or just, as is often the adage, shoot the cat. Someone please shoot the cat whenever it is high flying above you. But looking at our bans, FaZe, Pibble Platoon are going to be the first ones figuring out who is going to be left out of Nepal here for our first map in the series. It was Couch Potatoes who got to choose our first map, so it is, of course, their decision to go ahead with the first ban, Pibble Platoon. I'm curious, like, whether we get a heavy hitter like a tank ban out of the gate here or a support. I usually consider those to be, you know, the most impactful bans on a control map type in particular. And yep, no different. It's going to be a diva ban for Pibble Platoon. I like to see one of these meta picks, you know, be banned out early on here. It narrows down the playing field considerably, and to me indicates that if we're sticking with, you know, current trends, expect a bit of Zarya here on Nepal.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you say, banning a tank or support generally I would say is the more impactful ban. particularly for a first map, but using a D.Va ban on the first map in a best of 5 series, it's a little bit bold, I would say, because if the enemy team really picks a good D.Va map, just has a good D.Va player, you might want that D.Va ban on a bit more of an important map. But Couch Potato is the ban now, and I would expect them to just ban out probably an equally high value character, unless they know something that Pibble Platoon is going to play, and they must, because they banned the Freya, and that, unless that's a targeted ban, I am not a fan of that ban whatsoever. There are like 5 hit scans better than Freya at the moment. You could go to the Surger and the Emray, even the Sierra, the Ashe, you know, there's so many things that you can go to over Freya at the moment. So if this is not a targeted ban towards Pibble Platoon, I'm a little bit concerned, if I'm being honest. But the D.Va ban from Pibble Platoon is standard, is strong, it's never going to be a bad ban.
I know I have seen some Freya from Pibble Platoon throughout the season. I don't know whether that's the current pick for that roster, but certainly if you're reading the tea leaves or looking back to the last time you played against them for Couch Potatoes, which I think was in week 2 if I remember correctly, that might be, you know, out of date here. We'll see if that comes to fruition, but for our lineups, looking at Couch Potatoes first, we have the expected roster coming out the gate, looking at your DPS line of Aimbot, Kevin, and Crumble. Geo, of course, as your tank. Gold-Blooded and Jin will be your support line here. These are well trod out for the side of Couch Potatoes. Notably, there's a Geo on either side of this matchup here today, so that's going to make things really fun for all of us involved.
Yeah, now that'll get a little bit confusing, because on the side of Pibble Platoon, the DPS line is Suguru and Prime. Shisu on the tank. Geo, we're gonna go Geo 1, Geo 2. Is that how we're gonna do it? I don't even know, but Geo and Dr. Richthofen on the supports as well. Interestingly, both supports pair in that little Anna Brig combo as their favorite characters. Maybe we'll get to see some traditional, you know, Anna Brig gameplay that we've seen, you know, so long in Overwatch. No Lucio Kiri slop today. I please, I'm begging you, Pibble Platoon and Couch Potatoes. Maybe we get to see something just a little bit unique from both teams here.
Some honest Overwatch is what the casters are hoping for. Let's see if we get it today. Yeah, honestly, between having Brig as that sort of linchpin of the backline, it's been either some Ana Brig or even some Juno Brig. It's been very common, kind of at all levels for teams who do not want to be locked in to the jail that is the Lucio Kiriko. And on these control maps where the run back is, you know, you do want to have everyone back together as a squad, but there's not as much distance to cover here. It's not Flashpoint, right? You don't have to worry about the massive contiguous space. It's a pretty simple, clear shot from your spawn room to the objective itself. So yeah, I think if you're going to go off that the most meta backline, I think this is the place and time to do it. And of course, that's not going to be the name of the game here. They've got 19 seconds to buck the trend, but yeah, look, it's good. It's meta for a reason. It still works. There's no reason not to do it unless one of those two supports is banned out. Already Geo hovering that Zarya like we expect. Suguru, we'll see if this hazard sticks. I would be surprised, but also delighted.
Yeah, that's not what I'm paying attention to right now, because Crumble and Prime seem to have some little agreement. If anyone's had their eyes on the chat, I think then we might be getting a little hammer toward 1v1 for the objective. Don't see this every day. The Zarya pick from Geo is pretty standard, but I prefer the hazard pick on the side of Pibble Platoon, generally speaking, for the high ground. But stage in a boxing arena is set right now.
All right, 2 Torbs enter, and they're both cleanly off the objective to start off, so it is hammer time on the point. Crumble finding the better of Prime, and now everything else is unlocked, it looks. Yeah, we're finally free-firing onto the opposition here. Pibble Platoon now playing down a DPS. Prime gonna come in on the Sparra instead. I like this pick. Tons of a wide-open skybox here, Pibble Platoon. And yeah, Couch Potatoes still holding this high ground. Aimbot Kevin really able to chunk in tons of damage with this Junkrat, and Crumble still sticking on this Torben, right? You won that duel, but that does mean that you're at least for this next fight locked in onto that hero pick. But Dr. Richthofen falling early here. Aimbot Kevin and Crumble both doing a ton of work on this DPS line. And Shisui, however, is able to answer back solidly on the Soldier 76. So Pibble Platoon not out of it just yet, but they have lost both their damage dealers. It's just left to Suguru alongside the supports to keep things rolling on the objective, but in face of such overwhelming spam damage from both of these DPS players, not a whole lot for Suguru to do, unless, of course, your Kiriko is there to back you up. Geo proving to be just as lethal as any DPS player. Again, it's Kiriko. It's just a good hero. Pibble Platoon retake at 42 for Couch Potatoes.
Yeah, but it's not too bad the amount that Couch Potatoes got there. 42% is respectable off the back of that honorable Tor 1v1 as Crumble does make the swap off the Torbjorn onto the Cassidy, which I don't really mind too much. You're quite durable versus the Hazard, and you can just kind of shoot Prime out of the sky, as Pibble Platoon just looks to be going straight to the objective right now.
Yeah, they still want to fight here on the point. They want to go now and go fast. No changes from Couch Potatoes so far. They still want to run this comp, regressing onto the objective. Tons of space control here. If you've got to worry about these traps coming out, steel trap from a Junkrat, when you're not looking at the ground, can actually really stymie any opposing actions just like that. But Shisui rather, is really much alive and kicking. Isn't bothered at all by being stuck, and that's going to be a team kill for Pibble Platoon. Not at all troubled by that first fight loss.
Yeah, Couch Potatoes, they managed to make it to the point. They do a good fast rotate to the objective, but then it feels like they get a little bit lost. Gold-Blooded gets first pick by Jisoo on that soldier, and now Pibble Platoon, they have a lot of ults to work with. Couch Potatoes really only have that Riptide coming up on the Kitsune rush, sure, but I'm liking my odds if I'm Pibble Platoon in this fight.
I like them going first here. Couch Potatoes need to find a pickoff. They need to find it now, but that is a downpour out from Suguru. Crumble falls immediately, so you're starting this fight down a body. Suguru falling to that Riptire. That is excellent value, the best you can possibly hope for from an ultimate that potentially devastating, but also potentially missable at this point. It's gonna be the barrage on the objective. Prime goes through, falls, but gets 2 for its trouble. That is value any day of the week. Pibble Platoon, more... Yep, just calling that out right for your Lucio, the second before he steps in. Classic behavior.
Yeah, but Pibble Platoon, they do use a few ults. Jisoo trying to pop the visor, but Jin's just coming out to Kitsu. Is there a touch though?
It doesn't really look like there is a touch. I think Jin was going for it, but she gets caught out just before, not able to actually make it onto the objective, so a bit of a misplay there from Couch Potatoes. You really wanted to have that fight in overtime. You're about to have a few ults ready to go. That sound barrier and that Deadeye could easily have bought you some time at the very least. Yeah, let's have another look at that Torb tool on the objective. Despite losing that, again, having the chance to switch that Torb up early on might have worked in Pibble Platoon's favor.
Yeah, the secret, give 42% of the objective, lose the Torb 1v1 strat, patented by Pibble Platoon, is actually just unplayable by any other team. Somehow it works, and you know, Couch Potatoes, they've learned their lesson. They're not offering the Torb 1v1 again. They've become wise to the strategy. As Rumble starts off on the Sojourn this time, aimbot Kevin goes over to the Echo, so interesting pick. There is no Tracer on the other side, so there's not too much pressure aside from Jisui's Ashe, which is, I don't mind that pick on this kind of map. Quite long range, and if you can keep Couch Potatoes at bay with your dynamites, you're looking quite good.
Now, Ashe has a lot of value here on this sub-map in particular, and as we can see, already taking down Gold-Blooded. Jin follows soon thereafter. You're down your supports for Couch Potatoes. Pibble Platoon can essentially free fire for all the damage they like, and it's just Geo left alive, and even that is only for a second as the team kill rolls before the first fight really even ends. And it's going to be first cap going the way of Pibble Platoon.
Yeah, Pibble Platoon,
well, once they get on the point, there we go.
Okay, yeah, just a little bit of forgetfulness from Pibble Platoon, but they're looking confident at the moment. Aimbot Kevin did have a nice little flank, but just couldn't make enough of it. Shisu needs to be careful, managed to get out of dodge. Suguru covers the exit as Prime's Wraith is forced on the other side though.
Yeah, Couch Potatoes re-aggressing, still sticking on this composition. I like the Sojourn here on this map in particular, but again, you're still going to be outranged by this Ashe 99% of the time. You'd love to find those railgun shots. Prime goes down. I think, yeah, that was a bit of an unfortunate positional error there. Falls directly off the edge into the abyss, so an opening for Couch Potatoes, but they're all still so dangerously low. Gold-Blooded and Jin just trying to keep each other alive for the moment, and of course paying attention to Geo, but still under so much pressure on the objective as Suguru falls. Finally, aimbot Kevin able to get some value from this Junkrat. It looks as though the point will be flipped for Couch Potatoes. Pibble Platoon just coming back with a full stack. Once Suguru gets back in, this next fight is when the ults are going to start flying.
Yeah, and honestly, you're seeing the kind of value of the Ashe at the moment. I mean, bang. Wow, excellent timing from the Observer right there. Got right to the Ashe, but Shizu's already built the bomb, and Crumble is just about 60% of the way there to the overclock, and that's the amount of pressure that Ashe can create, right? The long range, high burst damage, and the dynamites in particular. So many 2 or 3 man dynamites have been landed by Shizu on this Ashe, so very high value pick at the moment. And now Pibble Platoon, they have 3 ults, they can just start with Kitsune. They have Kitsune advantage for the time being, but the problem is, if you can't win the fight quick, Gold-Blooded has that massive lead over Dr. Richtofen on the sound barrier.
That early pick last fight meant that there was no ults necessary for Pibble Platoon to get back on the objective. It's going to be the Riptire out from aimbot Kevin, but Prime going on a hunt for that Junkrat unfortunately pays for it with his life. So that's going to be a Riptire kill onto Dr. Richtoff and not able to hide there on the fringes of the map. Crumbles falls yet again, still getting outranged by Shisui, who's going to have a Bob on the objective alongside, oh god, in combination with that Kitsune Rush. That is a free-firing Bob, a functional chain gun on the point with a tank's health bar to match. That is another fight win, Pibble Platoon. They're coming into this last fight with the Death Blossom and eventually a Sound Barrier, but Couch Potatoes have a full war chest at their disposal.
Yeah, but Crumble needs to not go down early. Has the overclock. Goldblood is forced to beat in the middle of nowhere, to be honest. And Jin is forced to Kitsune as well, and Goldblood just has to go to the point fast. So many ults used by Couch Potatoes here.
Yeah, I understand they need to utilize everything to get on the objective, but once you have that touch from Gold-Blooded, you kind of hope the order comes through to hold on to everything for this next fight, because it's going to get drawn out further and further, and now you're down all 4 of those ultimates that you had completely gone, and you've got nothing left to sustain yourself on the objective. Death Blossom out from Prime, just zoning everybody away, who was already dead and buried from the side of Couch Potatoes. Pibble Platoon, not too troubled here as they were on Village. That is just a Kiriko Ragdoll onto the point. Doesn't count for a contest, and a celebratory Sound Barrier out. That is a pretty clean fight win here for Pibble Platoon on Nepal.
Yeah, I mean, the only person with any like reasonable number of deaths on the side of Pibble Platoon is Prime on the Reaper, and that is just the nature of character like Reaper, right? Sometimes you just play hyper aggressive, sometimes you just play for trades, right? We saw it when he was trying to shut down the Junkrat aimbot Kevin on when he was using the Riptire. But we keep watching this. Honestly, Crumble kind of destroys him here. Like, I don't know. Like Prime just kind of gets destroyed. I don't know. I think it's terrible overload usage or something. I don't know. Not an expert in the tour 1v1s, but this Junkrat, it was putting a lot of spam onto Suguru, but I don't know if it was doing enough, if I'm being perfectly honest. The tires were good. I mean, I say that and then gets a nice little tire kill, but if I'm Couch Potatoes, I may be looking to switch that up. Maybe, honestly, it's really boring. Just maybe go for the Tracer or something. Because even the Echo, this flank, like, it was good. Gets the Lucio. Unfortunately, it's not enough to win out the fight, but it's a good flank. Manages to get round. Rumble just under so much pressure here, unfortunately. But I think maybe stick with the Echo if aimbot Kevin is comfortable on that, and you might find a little bit more success.
Yeah, I think the Junkrat, well, I fully agree, Sky Knight. Like, in theory, you can find some value there, but the comp from Pibble Platoon was just too mobile to really be caught out on any one of these plays here. So, yes, the spam damage is there. You can certainly find some cheeky plays with the traps, the mines, even the Riptire, as we got to see. Found value every single time that ult came through, but just wasn't enough of a consistent presence in those fights to really give them an edge. I think we saw nothing but consistency, essentially, from Shisui on, especially on that Ashe on Sanctum. Like, that was kind of nuts. The single 2-tap onto Crumble's Sojourn, where you just weren't even paying attention to that angle, really providing a ton of value here for Pibble Platoon. So now we have to shake things up. It's going to be Couch Potatoes' choice yet again. Since they decided that first map, they get to decide where we head for this next one. If I'm Couch Potatoes, I think we need to see a change of tempo, right? Whether that's you playing faster or just a map that slows things down a little bit, something different. I don't want to see a Flashpoint coming in next. And so it looks as though we have our next map set up. It's going to be a hybrid map, and not only that, it is the hybrid map. King's Row is where we make our play next.
Yeah, you know, given they did a tour 1v1, it wouldn't surprise me to see some kind of Reinhardt business come out here, like some honorable Reinhardt nonsense or whatever happens on King's Row. Maybe we'll get to see that, unless there's a ban on it, I suppose. But I don't see any team kind of banning the Reinhardt. But I think King's Row, I think, is a reasonable pick for Couch Potatoes. If they want to stick with that Junkrat, it's a relatively good Junkrat map. But the problem is, I don't think it's the worst Ashe map either. It's not a terrible Haz map at all, either. So, like, it's just not a bad map for Pibble Platoon at all. And I don't think it's good enough of a map for Couch Potatoes. It's my problem with this pick. You know, sure, you maybe don't want to go something too fast-paced, because it did feel like Pibble Platoon were just outpacing them a little bit. But I don't know if this map pick is enough for Couch Potatoes, per se.
Yeah, I have to second your trepidations. I think it's a tough spot to be in, and I don't think it's enough of a swing. I don't think it honestly puts any pressure on the composition so far that we've seen coming out of Pibble Platoon coming in just with that first map, right? I think the ban, or rather the map choice of going to Nepal first, is a solid, shake-up. We're not going to run that classic Lijiang Tower that you see so often, but it still didn't seem to provide any difficulty. I think that Hazard composition looked really solid for Pibble Platoon, and I think you're absolutely right that you could still keep running that here. There's tons of capability for Hazard to run on all 3 points of the map. All stages, essentially, are more than able to run this Brawl Dive composition that Hazard so, constantly supports. So I'm curious what this first ban's going to be. It's Afara. I understand this ban. I think this is, again, we run the risk of chasing DPS, but I think that if you are really worried about this long-range poke, it certainly was a really solid pick from Prime. I think it was on Village for Nepal. So yes, that gives you some trouble if you don't want to run that hit scan yourself, but that's a very narrow ban.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how I feel about it, if I'm being honest. King's Row is pretty good Fire map, I would say, so it's a reasonable enough ban, particularly because Prime did run it during that Nepal Village segment. But to be honest, I don't think I think Prime played well, but I don't think he was like the star of the show for Pibble Platoon, if I'm being perfectly honest. And Pibble Platoon, they actually go for the Kiriko ban, so really interesting that. I did think the Kiriko mirror was quite in Pibble Platoon's favor, if I'm being honest. I think the backline of Pibble Platoon were outperforming that of Couch Potatoes, at least that map. So I think that Kiri does force a bit of a change up. Maybe it could just be swapping to the Baptiste or going to the Ana, some kind of Ana Lucio or Bap Lucio. But maybe we'll see the Ana Brig, because we did see both supports hover that kind of Ana Brig favorite backline though. But I do prefer Pibble Platoon's ban overall, I would say.
Yeah, I think a Kiriko ban can honestly be nothing but impactful. Like, it is going to certainly affect your opponent, but also, as you highlighted, could easily affect you as well. But that really indicates to me that Pibble Platoon are not at all interested in running this composition. Yes, it's the meta pick for control maps in particular, but on these, on a hybrid map, on King's Row in particular, if you don't need to run it, if it's not something you're going to rely upon, might as well get it out of your opponent's hand. It's such a useful tool. I mean, the Suzu, the consistent healing, consistent damage that we got to see, I think Geo in particular for Pibble Platoon, you're absolutely right, was really kind of coming out ahead of Couch Potatoes' version of that backline, but it really does narrow things down, right? Or rather opens it up. It certainly, indicates that we're going to be running something else, that on a Brig that both these teams seem to favor, generally speaking, or even the Brig Juno, which has a lot of flexibility on a pretty open, I'm thinking especially first point here on King's Row.
Yeah, but if there's any team that was going to run the Brig Juno, I would hope the Couch Potatoes run it, because Brig Juno, it can be quite a sturdy backline in the way that you can just harass the tank. Particularly into a tank like Hazard, you can always whip shot them away. You can kite away on Juno. Juno is quite, squishy into getting one shot by Hazard, but it is still definitely playable, particularly if you run that Cassidy as well. We saw Crumble briefly go onto the cast on Nepal Village, so I wouldn't mind honestly seeing a Juno break, particularly from Couch Potatoes, if I'm being honest, because it can neutralize what a tank can do quite easily. Alongside that cast, there's so much tank pressure. The tank can't walk anywhere. If they do, you get headshot by Cast and Juno. If they try to dive, they just get whip shot back. It's really, really frustrating backline to play into if you are a tank player. So Couch Potatoes, they could go for it themselves. It could be a mirror, but I would maybe think that Pibble Platoon could just go for Ana here, if I'm being honest. But no, they go for the Bap Lucio.
Yep, as you saw, folks, Pibble Platoon have a couple swaps coming in. It's going to be Mitsuri in for Prime, and of course, Ghost Town is going to be in as your tank instead of Suguru. So, offense could change any time here, but this Reaper alongside a Vendetta, all right, we're switching things up here and there. I was gonna sing the praises of that composition, but I'm gonna wait until they have the chance to show us out the doors. Couch Potatoes, however, this Ram composition alongside the Bappy Yari, I really like this. I think Crumble, it's gonna be outranged if Pibble Platoon run anything, greater than a Cassidy of their own, right? Shisui is still here, so you have to be wary of that Ashe or even a Widowmaker pick here out the front gate. Looks as though it's gonna be a Widow swap for a hot second here, see if we can find any damage in. Geo eats a pretty massive chunk of damage. Ghost Town swapping eventually over to this Zarya. No clean targets, a body shot onto Geo. No real concerns there. That armor from the Ramatra eating things up nicely. But Pibble Platoon already through this first initial choke point here, so that shield, that Void Bearer up from Geo around this initial corner of the hotel. It's going to be Couch Potatoes trying to rotate around. They would love to have some distance from this, high tempo composition, but they have so much damage, and Aimbot Kevin able to burst through those bubbles of Ghost Town Zarya pretty quickly. So it's going to be Pibble Platoon on the back foot, having to rethink their comp, or at least their positioning.
Yeah, you can't be going through a hotel there if you're Pibble Platoon. The hotel area for Couch Potatoes, if Aimbot Kevin is controlling it, is basically like a no-go zone, right? Because Junkrat is so strong in close range, and Mitsuri's feeling the pain from this Junkrat. And honestly, it wouldn't surprise me to see a swap from Mitsuri, because clearly Aimbot Kevin's having a field day with this matchup.
Yeah, it turns out the second that you look down at that trap, that is where the Junkrat is going to get all the damage. And you can see Aimbot Kevin, well, unfortunately, it's a bit of a caster curse there, building up towards that ripped tire. But Shisui is still on this Widowmaker, right? Has not swapped off it yet, finding tons of damage and now finding some kills to boot. Has the sights ready. So the second that we actually need to get some space, some distance, you can just easily pop those sights. The point has already been 33% unlocked. Make that a clean 66 on the objective. Just that last third here. Couch Potatoes, they've got the numbers, but are they even in range to contest? I would think they'd like to, but they don't really have the speed, don't really have the position to do so. So yeah, that's a full cap for Pibble Platoon.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way they can get out of the point there. Look how far up this Pibble Platoon front line is holding this Zarya Reaper so in the face of Geo on the Ramatra, and rip tire. Oh, maybe I'll find something at home. Mitsuri gets jump scared by the tire there.
Looking for a sneaky assassinate on to the Junkrat. You never expect the tire is also there and present. Gonna be the Ant Matrix out here from Geo in this choke point, trying to force Couch Potatoes back, but the Captive Sun comes through. Gold-Blooded has let loose with the massive nuke from above, and Geo falls, unfortunately, to that massive burst damage. So once again, they have unlocked a point, yes, have Pibble Platoon, but this choke is now being held by Couch Potatoes. They've got the full control of the actual space itself. Shisui eats a ton of damage on the approach. Crumbles Ash, I like this answer. Yes, you don't have the immediate one-shot potential that the Widow does, but you need to have that flexibility in these tighter corridors that Point B presents. Shisui falling to Aimbot Kevin on this junk. All right, we're seeing some stabilization from Couch Potatoes.
I don't think there's any other word for it than, like, psychotic. For what Shisui just did there, that was insane. He saw the Reaper die and like, you know what, I'm gonna go in as Widowmaker. He complete ego swings it. Unfortunately, it doesn't go the way, but I do respect it just a little bit. And Pibble Platoon, they do have a few ults to work with, right? Duo does have that annihilation, but it might be difficult. Please stop going high ground, just go main. Okay, well, Aimbot Kevin gets 2 kills again, and Pibble Platoon, they're in a rough spot.
Give me the grab playthrough from Ghost Town. You're caught in it, yes, but Geo goes for the annihilation, blocking and still doing all of that damage. Zarya tries to get away, is able to escape the orbit for a hot second here, but Geo is still well and truly healthy. They're just able to back up, drop a barrier down on the cart. Shisui is still on this Widowmaker, has to be noted. We usually don't see folks stay on this particular hero into the street space of the map, but you feel like you can outrange Crumble, and finally getting the better of that shorter range Ash does provide an opening, at least for Pibble Platoon to move forward. Still hasn't used these sights, right? Still up, having a chance to really find the, find out any of your opponents sneaking around. But honestly, Couch Potatoes not doing a whole lot of sneaking here. It's just going to be the tire out once again, but a Death Blossom from Mitsuri taking down the Immortality Field and Jin in one fell swoop. You've got to count that an opening here, at least for the offense. Couch Potatoes having to back up a little bit towards these secondary corners. Positioning is fully ceded to Pibble Platoon as they enter further into street space.
Yeah, they managed to finally break through, but I don't think Geo's done yet, as the lamp is forced. Geo forces the lamp from Geo, rather. That's a little bit confusing, but manages to live. Does the Baptiste of Pibble Platoon, and Gold-Blooded has this Captive Sun ready to go, but now that Ghost Town is on that Diva, might be harder for it to actually even land or follow through on it. Matrix is good there from Ghost Town, as it looks like Pibble Platoon are just going for a little flank here.
Yeah, the Diva's a really great swap, right? Couch Potatoes are doing so much long-range damage here. You need to be able to provide some mitigation from that and also dive on to these less mobile targets. Jin and Gold-Blooded, both can be dove upon here with some synergy from the rest of your squad. But Ghost Town getting spotted out here, stuck in a corner with this Ant Matrix facing you down. A couple of wide screens here between that Void Bearer and the Matrix. Finally taking down that baby Diva. Pibble Platoon are kind of struggling to find any real on-roads here. As we're down, we had over 4 minutes 40 coming into street space. Now we're down to just over a minute here.
Yeah, it's the nature of this choke on Kings Road, this little archway, particularly with the spam that Couch Potatoes have, Bap, Alari, Junkrat, Soj. If you don't stack ults and use them correctly, then you're going to struggle, and now it's Pibble Platoon's chance to do so. They have 3 ults available, but Gio's under a lot of pressure.
Sound bear out from Dr. Richtoff, and this should be the tempo to actually continue ahead with this, and they are falling one by one. Shisui back here on this Emery from the previous fight. But here, alright, so falls down to this Annihilation. Gio finds 2, but that's going to be all you get. Yes, you got yours, but this is finally the chance. You called it out, Sky Knight. They stacked that single ultimate's all they needed, and the positional advantage was theirs. Now we're heading into the final corner, but just about 30 seconds left to push into B.
Problem is, they got a few picks, or Gio in particular, got a few picks with that Annihilation, so it's not a clean fight for Pibble Platoon, and now they have to come back. I mean, the Baptiste and the Emre are just coming back now, and Shisui needs to get this Override Protocol online, because Crumble is going to be licking his lips, looking at his Q button at the moment.
Yeah, not a lot of mitigation here for Couch Potatoes, so the second that Override Protocol comes down, that is a massive win condition for them. It's going to be the Diva Bomb out
Tire?
as well, so Ghost Town able to get back into it. Tire comes out, taking down Dr. Richtofen on the outside of the objective, but honestly, the Lucio not contributing as much in this fight, doesn't have that ultimate, so you're more than happy to let that one go while the rest of you roll forward, and crucially, only having to spend the window and that Diva Bomb to stay alive in that fight is a massive win for Pibble Platoon.
Yeah, they turn it on when it counts. That beat from Dr. Richtofen to initially get through was well executed. And then after that, of course, Gio using that window to kind of zone out that overclock. You know, Crumble's going to be terrified to beat that. And now Crumble has swapped over to the Torbjorn, which I don't know how I feel about. It is more kind of general annoying spam, I suppose. And the turret can mark out certain flanks like Mitsuri's on at the moment. And he does have the Blossom, but Shisui's just started off with an easy nade onto Aimbot Kevin somehow.
There's so much consistent damage coming in here from Shisui and Ghost Town on the front line, and Mitsuri constantly, you have to worry about this Reaper in your backline, as you hope the turret can actually mitigate and account for, but still, that's a ton of damage from above! That is a massive Death Blossom. Mitsuri drops down, and the backline falls, not to mention every single deployable that Couch Potatoes have in their arsenal, and so we are free rolling into point C here, not even able to escape the spawn room doors. Can Couch Potatoes even get out to touch?
They could maybe with the Alari ult, but it's gonna not be easy as the Override Protocol is there for Shisui, and so is the window. That's so much damage.
Right through the window, the Override Protocol heavy shot is disgusting levels of damage, taking down 3, make that a 4th if you count the pylon, and hey, we'll give it to you. Count by 3, get 1 free. That is a clean finish there for Pibble Platoons with 8 seconds left. That is still time in the bank. No overtime finish for them here on Kings Row. It was looking a little dicey there. That choke point on point B really suiting the defense heavily, but Pibble Platoon, once they broke through, there was no stopping them.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, it was like, that's how Hybrid goes, right? It's just momentum. It is complete momentum, and you can get a snowball going. Couch Potatoes, they just couldn't stabilize. They were almost able to, off of Jin's window, but just wasn't able to get enough with it. Was Couch Potatoes Baptiste. And this Annihilation from Gio was good, but I wonder what could have happened if he just held it for this fight here. It would have been an absolute threat on the point, and then the Tire, like you said, just going for the wrong target. I mean, this is huge. If you land a direct through the window, I think it'll do like 175 times to what, 350 damage? Direct, which is, I mean, I don't need to tell you, that's a lot of damage. That one shot, it almost one shots a Bastion, I think. He only survives because of armor. So, I mean, a ludicrous amount of damage that combo is Shisui has his fun on Emre, goes over to the Ashe for the defense, and I do prefer the Ashe pick on the defense, right? You can hold your ground, you can position on that high ground, and just kind of keep Couch Potatoes at bay, but Couch Potatoes, on the other hand, maybe what I said at the start is finally coming to pass, is they do have a Cat Bastion duo going on here.
I mean, in the same way that you sometimes go for a, you know, quick Widow shot out the gate, just dragging the Bastion into position, trying to find an angle. I like Ghost Town on this Orisa to start things off here, right? Yes, it's not always favored into that Zarya, but if you're expecting a Ramatra, that usually is a good answer to it. But now, you're having to face down a ton of damage from above, able to spend the Spear Spin just to stay alive and keep yourself from eating a ton of damage. Shisui finally taking down Gold Blooded. It's going to spell an end to the merry festivities there on the high ground. So now, Couch Potato stuck behind enemy lines here. Geo trying to chaperone the rest of the squad to wrap around onto the high ground, but Ghost Town marking their steps every moment here, and Mitsuri is waiting. That pincer maneuver of that Reaper. Dr. Richtofen finding the kill first, and that is just a disgusting place to find yourself. So much consistent damage between the Reaper and the Lucio and the Orisa, so nice strategy, Couch Potatoes. Didn't pay off.
Yeah, Gold-Blooded, it is quite difficult to play that cat until you have that transport healing perk. That minor perk is actually a bit of a spike for this combo, so maybe they're going to keep running it until Gold-Blooded maybe gets that perk online. But honestly, the rest of Couch Potatoes just going to have to take a reset there, to be honest. They end up staggering themselves out. A minute and a half has already gone off the clock, and they're nowhere near any else at the moment aside from maybe Jin and Crumble's window and artillery strike respectively.
Yeah, Gold-Blooded once again falling first, honestly, into an Ashe as good as Shisui. I don't really like this composition. This play can be cheeky, but Pibble Platoon are not a team to brook any cheekiness here, especially on their defense. This Orisa is able to mitigate a ton of that damage, a ton of that value anyway, the Bastion you'd usually expect to have. So, yes, Geo, usually you expect this Zarya to have favorable impact, but when the rest of the squad is not really providing a ton of synergy, it's tough for Pibble Platoon to actually, or for Couch Potatoes, to really find the value you're hoping for from this comp. And now we burn half the time bank off the clock just trying to make something go your way. Your supports are so low. Geo also not being the focus of anybody but Jin. You're going to lose yet again. That is 3 times in a row. We need to see something else from Couch Potatoes. Terra Surge and the Death Blossom. That is 2 blenders of pain. Mitsuri, however, is the one to feel the sting of Crumble's Zarya. So it turns out that when you've got the ultimates, when you've got the answers, you win some of the time. We're trading blow for blow. Honestly, there's still, what, 2 alive here on the objective from each, and one of those is a Bastion. All right, so never mind everything I said. Yes, it was cheeky. Yes, it wasn't working until it did.
Well, the age-old Overwatch adage of just press Q still stands strong, but now Pibble Platoon can press Q a couple times. They have one of the best holding ults in the game, probably Bob, and Geo can zone with the window.
Window out from both. Geo taking down Jin early on here, but Crumble on the high ground, the assassinating Bastion, turns out to be the play that you need to see. We're trading still. It is kills falling on either side of this fight, but the Bob on the objective from Shisui, that's gotta lock things down. Soundbear committed from Dr. Richtofen as well, so that's all of the present ults spent. Pibble Platoon, but Couch Potatoes, they're gonna have some answers coming into this.
Yeah, I don't know about that beat from Dr. Richtofen right there, as it just kind of opens the door for aimbot Kevin to, turn on that aimbot with the overclock. Sorry, even Gold-Blooded can get in there with the catnapper as well. Maybe just land onto Shisui at this point, get some revenge or something. Aimbot Kevin has a free overclock at the moment if he's able to make use of it.
Geo looking for a pick here on this hog, but still under so much pressure, eats a ton of damage coming in that you're really wasting a lot of time. You need this overclock to go huge for aimbot Kevin, but you're being shut down in the face by a spear spinning Orisa. Falling down to the hands of Geo here is a massive opening. If Couch Potatoes can keep moving forward, finding another kill in the back end of this, taking out Shisui is huge. You're essentially free of any of those long-range threats, and all you need is that last 33% on the objective. Will there even be a last-minute touch? There will not. It's Geo on the higher ground getting hounded out by aimbot Kevin, and finally Couch Potatoes can start pushing this payload, and not a moment too soon.
Yeah, and Gold-Blooded doesn't even need to commit the catnapper, and I think if Dr. Richtofen has beat there, I think Pibble Platoon do just full hold that. But, little mistake there from Pibble Platoon, but it is what it is. They got tons of time off of Couch Potatoes there, as Couch Potatoes do go into the street phase with only around 2 minutes on the clock, as Crumbles are under some early pressure.
Yeah, you're still on this Roadhog composition, but again, Couch Potatoes have really been enjoying playing their own game here. I like to get to see these off-meta picks, but still, you're starting to see the, difficulties of running a hog into such a high damage, high focus composition as Pibble Platoon are running at the moment here. It's just free firing for Shisui. If you're not going to hit the cat, you can easily hit the Bastion there. A much larger target, and that Bob is easily going to shut things down. Going for the artillery strike, Crumble. I think we can expect to see a swap here, is what I would assume on the back of this ultimate, but you still find a kill. All right, Mitsuri got found out. That is not something you see every day. I mean, you don't see this comp every day here, but still, a solid hook. Shisui stuck in a bad spot. That is another unexpected kill coming through for Couch Potatoes. Never mind it, they're still rolling forward.
I was honestly going to suggest that Geo swap this Roadhog, go to the Diva, and help the Cat Bastion, because right now the Cat Bastion has absolutely no help in the offense. Right now there's no one that can help them, but I mean, if your Roadhog's doing that, nice little kill onto Geo getting his opposite number, and then the hook onto Shisui was absolutely insane. I mean, fair enough, stick the Roadhog if you're doing that, but Pibble Platoon, the MVP also available, Geo has the window, and Ghost Town has that Terror Surge.
Yeah, Jin drops the Ant Matrix first here directly into this point where it could be unlocked. You need to find some kills. You need to find them right now. Ghost Town goes for the Terror Surge but gets blasted to pieces before being able to complete it. And that is another sick hook from Geo. Yeah, this is Couch Potatoes powering forward onto their opposition. I think that was a grab onto Richtofen and kind of the less likely option to drop down a pit, but still, you cap the points. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day, and you're still going to have this overclock coming in. Is this a swap? Nope, of course it's not a swap. Why would I even think that?
I mean, it's been working these past 2 points, I won't lie, but Aimbot Kevin does maybe get a little bit too overeager right there, does go down, and Pibble Platoon, they do have 3 ults available. Dr. Richtofen will have the sound barrier for Aimbot Kevin's overclock this time round, so I imagine, you know, Couch Potatoes might start with the overclock, then Pibble Platoon can either just kite it if it's just poorly used, or go in with the beat and just collapse onto Aimbot Kevin.
Yeah, Couch Potatoes need to really find a series of pickoffs here. One's not going to be enough. You need to create some space and get some serious damage in. But as you say, Pibble Platoon have the potential ults to rotate through. If they don't spend them all at once, this could easily burn them through. The necessary minute and 20 left on the bank here. But an overclock comes rolling. Geo falls, taking Aimbot Kevin down, though, in the midst of that ultimate with this death loss. Of Mitsuri is finding a value. Hook, unfortunately, not going to do a whole lot against a, fortified Orisa. On the point, going for another Terra Surge. Ghost Town building up these ultimates so quickly here, nearly as fast as Geo on that Baptiste. But the window out here from Jin forces Pibble Platoon back for a few more seconds. Finding the picks, though. Shisui back on this Echo. You love to see there's a good defensive pick. I think the Ashe was doing fine, but if you want to have some more dive, this is the hero for it.
Yeah, and it's rough for Couch Potatoes at the moment because Shisui's unscouted and in an excellent position at the moment. Maybe not, though. Crumble knows. Doesn't matter, though!
Yeah, I mean, Shisui falls for his trouble, but taking down 2, that is incredible value gain from a dive like this. We're still trading out, down both DPS here for Pibble Platoon, so they have to play a bit more carefully. Geo having this Ant Matrix could easily stall things out for another, 10 seconds or so. But against Geo's Hog, you get a single hook through that. Finding a pickoff onto both Dr. Richtofen or Geo is kind of all you need here at the end of the day. Do we find anybody with that catnap? I don't know that we did. Yeah, went onto the Orisa, but of course it went gold. Could not be moved for the duration of that ability. So solid counterplay here from Pibble Platoon on the defense. Geo able to find a kill onto Mitsuri. So yeah, you usually love to see that Reaper counter out the Roadhog. Finally, the Roadhog will fall. We're in overtime, folks. And so it is another Terra Surge rolling for Ghost Town. Shisui finding that friendly copy there onto the Orisa. That is 2 of the battle cattle on the field for Pibble Platoon. Hold strong on the defense, and there is not a full cap to be had for Couch Potatoes. It looked promising, right? It was all over the place, but it was really fun to watch. Not enough to get you the win. That's 2 maps now in the bank for Pibble Platoon.
Yeah, and honestly, I do kind of hope they keep with that comp, right? Even if Crumble's KD isn't doing him any favors, I think it was honestly quite decent, to be honest, because Shisui's attention was so drawn to handling this Cat Bash and so much pressure that was applying. Honestly, I think Pibble Platoon just played to it a little bit more. Maybe get the Kiriko back online, or maybe even go for the Ana, and then go for like the Diva, or just something that can go in with the Bastion, or maybe even just stick the Zarya and bubble the Cat or the Bastion. I think that will work out quite well. Oh my, this is so satisfying, this damage. Like, Crumble just explodes. It's actually insane the amount of damage that does. But honestly, I think Couch Potatoes, it's pretty clear that Pibble Platoon, they're maybe outperforming at the moment. Definitely, I think it's a bit of a team gap at the moment. I don't think there's obviously superstars on Pibble Platoon right now that are popping off like crazy. Shisui, I think, pops to mind at the moment, and Geo on the Baptiste, in my opinion, and on the Kiriko in the first round as well, has been really, really good for Pibble Platoon. So I think if you're Couch Potatoes, you gotta keep being silly, you gotta keep trying new things, and you gotta keep trying things that are a little bit out there, right? And Cat Bastion is pretty out there at the moment. Even though it is actually quite strong, I think you gotta play into it, fully lean into it, because if everyone starts like trolling, then it becomes a strategy, right? But if 2 people are just trolling, then they're just trolling, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I fully agree. I think they need to lean further into the chaos that they've been creating so far, because when it works, it really works for them. They just need to shore things a little bit more. But folks, we're going to see the result of that chaos in just a little bit. Going to a quick break before we head into our third and now potential final map of the series. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, folks. We are here in the midst of a matchup here in our lower bracket of our EU Masters Division. It is Couch Potatoes v Pibble Platoon, and one of those teams is looking a lot sharper coming into this map 3. Up 2-0 are the squad Pibble Platoon. Couch Potatoes, we've seen some moments of brilliance and a lot more moments of chaos here that has honestly suited them very well at a lot of points. We just haven't found the map win for them so far. If they want to keep moving on, they need a reverse sweep starting here and now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think they've maybe found something that they can abuse, right? This Cat Bastion. And honestly, I'm praying that they stick with it. I'm really praying, because not only because it's quite entertaining, it's quite funny, but I actually think it's like good for them. I actually think it's like good for their team. And I think if there's any map that they could go to, right, I've seen a lot of success with it on maps like Runasapi, right? Very open, very long range. Well, not awfully long range, but you know what I mean. It's relatively open for a push map. That and Esperanza, generally speaking, I think push is the direction they need to go. Runasapi or Esperanza preferably, but we'll have to see if they do follow that, because they may not even stick with the comp altogether.
Well, I don't mean to disappoint, but we know where we're headed for our third map in the series, and push is not going to be the name of the game here. No, it's Flashpoint, and of course it is the de facto Flashpoint map of Suravasa. I mean, this kind of tells me that we're going to be seeing a bit more of these. Obviously, Suravasa is known for its open spaces between the points. It's not nearly as narrow and claustrophobic, honestly, as Atlas, and not quite as closed off as a lot of points on New Junk City tend to be. A lot more open skyboxes here, so if you're afraid of that Pharah, this is the chance for Pibble Platoon to make some more of that magic happen, but I still think there's a chance to make that Bastion Cat work here for Couch Potatoes, but I think you're absolutely right, Sky Knight. This is not exactly the best home for a comp that insane right now.
Yeah, I think it's too boxed in. That first point as well, I just don't see how it's really going to find too much success unless you get really, really, really creative with it and like hover around the outside or whatever and above the outside choke point and just try forced fights in open areas. I don't see how it's going to work. So honestly, I could just see them not picking it, if I'm being honest. It might work well on the other points, but at that point you're changing combat map and it just gets a little bit frustrating to do, generally speaking. So I don't see them picking it. Alternatively, it could just be banned out by Pibble Platoon, because it's kind of the only thing that's caused them any trouble aside from the Torbjorn 1v1 at the very start of the game, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. So I do expect either a ban or just not pick. But Couch Potatoes, they do go for that Reaper ban. I think that's reasonable. Again, I think tank bans and support bans might generally be higher value, because I mean, we're kind of seeing evidence of it. The Diva ban and the Kiriko ban from Pibble Platoon right now, they're 2-0 up, right? Yeah, sure, they might have just been playing better, but these DPS bans from Couch Potatoes, I don't feel like they've been too impactful, if I'm being perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, I think 1 is understandable, but 3 DPS bans in a row, I think they've fallen down the trap of banning out things that were troublesome for them on the previous map, but might not necessarily show up in the next one. Yes, you're going to see some Reaper. If you're going to see Reaper from a team like Pibble Platoon, I think Suravasa is a possible map to run that on, but this is the impactful ban we were expecting. Jetpack Cat banned out for Pibble Platoon, so yeah, no chance to run that one here on Suravasa. You're gonna have to make the comp work without that enabling factor, right? I feel like even if you want to run the Bastion, I think Pibble Platoon are not really bothered by that. It was really just having to deal with that up in the skybox. Even the Cat was probably the more answerable part of that composition, but it's also the enabling part of that, you know, little interplay between those heroes. So the correct ban from Pibble Platoon, who seem to have had, ban-wise at least, Couch Potatoes number all the way through so far.
Yeah, the Jetpack Cat ban, I think even if Couch Potatoes maybe weren't going to go for it, I still think it's just a good safety ban. You maybe could have banned something else. Maybe you could have banned the Junkrat or something, because I'd imagine Aimbot Kevin is going to go onto that favored Junkrat pick that actually did find a respectable amount of success on King's Road defense for Couch Potatoes, particularly on that first and second half of the second catch point, first half of Streets phase. Oh my goodness, that's complicated to say. Yeah, first point and first half of Streets phase. Oh my goodness. But it found a little bit of success, and I think fundamentally it could find the same level of success in a map like Suravasa in theory, but you know, theory will only take you so far if you are Junkrat. Sometimes you just need to see how the cards will go. As Pibble Platoon on the Lucio for going to Kiriko this time, Sugru on the Fire, Shisui starting out on the Sin, but you're going to expect that to swap maybe back over to the Ashes. Ghost Town starts on the ball. And I'm liking this comp-wise. I'm actually favoring Couch Potatoes at the moment.
Yeah, Ghost Town currently on the Wrecking Ball, at least to begin here. Shisui swaps over onto that Tracer, and Crumble mirroring that on the other side. Yeah, you need to have, if your opponent's running a Tracer, you need to have one of your own, essentially, here on a map like Surabasa in particular. So, good to see that mirrored through. We'll see who wins the dive off here on the objective. It's going to be the Winston comp led by Geo or Ghost Town's Wrecking Ball causing havoc left, right, and center. Sugru always finding better of the Echo. Aimbot Kevin, we already mentioned that we'd like to see this Echo more and more since we got to see it briefly on Nepal, but not really finding value just yet in this initial fight. Still, I don't want to see them swap off it. I think it's still a good composition. They just were not able to bring it to the high tempo of Pibble Platoon right now.
Yeah, definitely. It's I think we can keep this comp, to be honest. I do agree. Crumble on the Tracer is something we haven't seen yet. Generally stuck to the Torbjorn or the hit scanners. Okay, well, Crumble does go down immediately there. The nade and rocket combo from Ana and Farah right there. Geo and Sugru teaming up for Pibble Platoon right there. And Crumble, you know, running the Tracer is fine. I wouldn't mind just seeing a Sojourn, to be honest, because, you know, Sojourn would kind of round out this comp a little bit, but maybe a bit of a dive target from the wall.
Yeah, of course, you're already fighting tooth and nail here on the outside of the objective. Jin finding a pick up onto Dr. Richtofen is in theory an opening, but you're still waiting for Crumble to get back in the fight. Aimbot Kevin falling low, has to back off at least for a second here, get healed up. It should be noted, the Ana is alongside the Lucio here for Pibble Platoon. Geo favoring that instead of the Kiriko, so I can understand totally why that Kiriko ban happened on the last map now that we see this here. But of course, Kiriko has tons of value, tons of utility, especially on a Flashpoint map. There's a reason why you see this backline most consistently on Control and Flashpoint here. So yeah, getting dove upon immediately as that fight really kicks off. Geo finding the better of the opposing Geo is exactly what you want to see here from this Winston comp.
Yeah, Geo gap, that's what I'm hearing at the moment, but I don't think Geo will care too much. His team's 2-0 up at the moment, and he's close to the nano boost as well. Shisui has the pulse bomb. Crumble has it on the other side though, and Shisui does have to navigate the difficulty of the Suzu of Jin. We could just Suzu that pulse bomb very, very easily. Crumble doesn't have any such concerns, but the nano boost advantage would cause problems, but not if Crumble does that.
No, Crumble finds a 2K with the pulse bomb. Incredible stuff here from the Tracer of Couch Potatoes. Aimbot Kevin proving exactly why so many teams really prefer the Echo over the Farah in these air-to-air combat. It's really hard to consistently land those rockets where a beam is a beam no matter which way you slice it.
Yeah, Echo versus Farah. I mean, it's a pretty traditional counter, right? If you don't want to run a hit scan, you just run that Echo. And I like this forward hold from Geo at the moment. Has the primal if he needs to use it to get out, as Nano Boost is forced onto Dr. Richtofen of all people.
Pressure on the point. Ghost Town drops the minefield here just off the objective, but still, we have to be fighting tooth and nail around the outside of the point. We are not actually on the objective here. As the point gets flipped over for Pibble Platoon, you have already lost Geo and now Shisui, so Couch Potatoes in a really comfy spot here. The barrage comes out from Sugru, but that is an excellent deflect. That's what the barrier is for, despite having all the damage in the world. 2 Winstons turns out to be one too many for Pibble Platoon to deal with here. So once Ghost Town gets forced off the objective, that's going to be markets going the way of Couch Potatoes.
Yeah, and Echo did get that little buff recently to her ultimate where she can now just copy allies, no perk needed. So you can take, you know, the ally copy, or you can take the 50% ult charge, the partial scan perk, and then immediately copy an ally. So double copy Winston, you can build primal. Very, very overpowered, if I'm being honest. It's very, very strong. To be honest, Gold Blooded gets a nice little pick onto Shisui there. Not able to escape is Pibble Platoon Tracer, but it's not over Pibble Platoon at the moment. They do still have that beat, but Crumble's built another pulse bomb. Geo is on the Kiriko now, so they'll be able to Suzu it this time round as Couch Potatoes not awfully stable, but get initial control.
But see, now it's Pibble Platoon who have to prove themselves, right? Their composition is kind of being pulled apart here by Couch Potatoes. The rush laid through from Jin sustains and keeps everyone doing so much damage on the objective. It's so hard to actually fight this one now with it laid just directly across here on Garden. So that's going to be first cap going the way of Couch Potatoes. Pibble Platoon, they still have the sound barrier. They have another minefield ready. Sugru swapping to the Cassidy. I really like this in answer to both the DPS of Couch Potatoes.
Yeah, I think it's good to finally see a hit scan in this lobby. I was waiting for it. I was expecting Crumble to make the change, but Sugru is the one that goes to the Cassidy, and it's a good swap regardless. But I really like that Kitsune from Jin last fight. Good awareness. Even though you're up 1, you still need to use ult sometimes, and Couch Potato need to continue that logic. They have the pulse bomb and they have the beat.
As both beats laid through here, Gold-Blooded and Dr. Richtofen both trying to keep the team sustained, but it's going to be Pibble Platoon who are winning out at the end of the day here. The mind kill from Ghost Town built up quickly, as all good Wrecking Balls tend to do. Nah, not a chance to actually get onto the point there for Gold-Blooded. So Suguru, I think this is a good swap. We'll see if it's enough to sustain them though, because they're down to just 2 ults coming into this next fight.
Yeah, I think I actually don't know what happened to Geo right there of Couch Potatoes. Just kind of exploded. I'm not 100% sure if he actually got the beat from Gold-Blooded, but he exploded regardless. But Aim Kevin does have this copy. Could just copy Geo on the Winston and go in onto Geo. Oh my goodness, onto Geo of Pibble Platoon. But Suguru's High Noon might have something to say about that.
I did not know you could flourish in the midst of the ultimate there. That's a good thing to know. That is a solid pick-off kill onto Geo, who had that Primal Rage. You were kind of counting on that Winston should this point go, you know, longer and longer into infinity. So Couch Potatoes, they're down both of their potential Winstons. That's another open win condition here for Pibble Platoon. They've got the rush, they've got the Pulse Bomb ready still, and there's been no solid inroads made by Couch Potatoes. Finally, the Primal Rage gets popped from Geo, but the point is about to be capped here. Is anyone within range of the objective? Finally, someone is on, but when you have someone there on the objective itself, no one is really sustaining you in the small corner, and that is incredible work here from Pibble Platoon. They don't have the Winston, but they are the ones juggling their opposition in a very small corner of the map. Yeah, it's going to be another minefield laid through from Ghost Town. If you've got them every fight and a half, why not just utilize that? That's a good clinch up here, and we're even at 1 apiece.
Yeah, the copy target for Aimbot Kevin there, I'm not sure about that. Copied the Lucio, maybe hoping to build a beat or something, or it might just be an accident or just out of panic to survive. Doesn't end up going the way of Couch Potatoes at that point there, though. Now Pibble Platoon, they're at a massive advantage. They have 3 ults going into this third point on Suravasa. They have double support ult and Cheese Squeeze Pulse Bomb. And Couch Potatoes, sure, they're building those double support ults, but Pibble Platoon have a bit of an advantage at the moment.
This is where momentum can really start to favor a team like Pibble Platoon. Suguru finding a pickoff onto Geo. I highlighted that it was just an answer to the DPS line of Couch Potatoes, but honestly, that is an unfortunate Pulse Bomb lays through, and there's no one alive but your teammates' bodies to get a little bit ruffled by that explosion. Rough stuff. But yeah, this Cassidy is a full answer to essentially the entire composition of Couch Potatoes right now, and Suguru seems to welcome the pressure.
Yeah, Pibble Platoon not minding at all. I mean, Geo walked forward, but then the nade from Suguru just stops him right in his tracks, and then bang to the dome, and that Winston is gone for good. Couch Potatoes, they do have double support ult right now, but Pibble Platoon got double DPS ult, so it is 2 low value ults realistically. You know, Shisui could just whiff the Pulse Bomb and Suguru's High Noon. It is High Noon after all, but ults nonetheless for Pibble Platoon.
It's going to be the rush answered here by the Sound Bearer. Jin wants to hold on to hers for a later engagement, but it's going to be finally comes through here. So yes, the later of the 2 is finally put through. All support ults have been utilized here on the objective. Shisui falls, but so is Aimbot Kevin. You're down your Winston yet again here. Suguru is able to lead the squad here on this Cassie, leading from the back to be sure, but the rest of the squad is more than happy to put forward so much pressure on to this Winston in particular, and now everyone just stuck on the objective for Couch Potatoes, essentially staggering yourself out here, ensuring you're not going to get a real complete final fight on the point. You're going to touch, but that's kind of all value gone here as the overtime wick is finally burning. You're going to have, hopefully, the rest of your squad up 1 by 1, but it's a trickle at best, and they're just going to let that one go. It's the right call, but still, you're down 2-1.
Yeah, it's a frustrating call, but it is the correct one as Couch Potatoes. They can't just get initial control of the next point. Geo was actually close to building that primal, so if he maybe got that ready to go, then Aimbot Kevin could have came in. Geo's gone to the junker for me, not actually caring about the primal, and I'm not sure how I feel about that personally. Sure, Suguru on the Cassidy is proving to be a nuisance, but still not sure how I feel about it.
Yeah, it certainly works well with your backline, but between the Echo and the Tracer, not a lot of synergy alongside that Junker Queen here. And of course, Pibble Platoon, apart from the Suguru, as you mentioned, they could just kind of run past the Queen. No one's really too bothered at all by a more stationary tank here. The Winston at least gives you that kind of flexibility. You can dive anywhere you please, and that bubble goes away, of course, that's your mitigation. But yeah, it's going to be the adaptive, copy here late through Aimbot Kevin. We've got 2 Junker Queens on the point for Couch Potatoes, but that, Deadeye has already come through. Gold-Blooded falls. kills. You're finding some kills here are Jin and Geo, but you are unfortunately the magnetized target for a pulse bomb. That's got to be a fight win for Pibble Platoon, and they're still ticking up percentage all the way.
Yeah, any hope of Couch Potatoes coming back in that fight was ended by Shisui's pulse bomb right there. As aimbot Kevin makes a swap onto the Sombra, just trying to shut Ghost Town down by any means necessary is kind of the idea at the moment. But Pibble Platoon, they have double support all pretty much ready to go. Sure, Gold Blooded is matching Dr. Richtofen, but Jin is lagging a little bit behind Geo at the moment in terms of Kitsune rush building.
Yeah, falling early in that previous fight really kind of puts you on the back foot. You are not at all in control of your own fate here going forward. Soundbear ready for Gold-Blooded. We'll see if she decides to let it rip. Oh, falls so low. Hands of steel, it has to be said. But unfortunately, we're up to 86. Make that 90% on the objective. Is there even going to be a chance to actually get another fight in here? If so, it's not going to be a clean one. Geo back on the ball just to get onto the objective. But Ghost Town has laid down a minefield. The obstacle course could not be more lethal. And they held on just too long. Couch Potatoes not even able to utilize their full potential here on Saravasa. That's a 3-0 for Pibble Platoon, who stay alive in the lower bracket as we say goodbye for the season to Couch Potatoes.
Yeah, unfortunate for Couch Potatoes. It did feel like they got better as the series went on. They put on a decent showing on King's Row, and then they managed to get a point here on Saravasa. But at the end of the day, close is not enough for Couch Potatoes this game. And you know what? This is the biggest victory that they got today. I mean, absolute domination in the tour, 1v1 by Grumble right there, Prime going down immediately. But it just felt like Pibble Platoon, where they were just always a step ahead. It felt like they were playing slightly better on the day when it comes down to it. Little moments where it just went their way. Shisui landing those dinks, landing those shots, landing those dynamites. Geo and Dr. Richtofen as well, so stable, so often at the time, particularly Geo, the Kitsune usage and the window usage when it was on back. Even the nanos, you know, the Ana wasn't as successful, but the nanos weren't too bad either. The ult usage from the Pibble Platoon flex support was very, very strong in my opinion. So Pibble Platoon were the winners of this game, and now they'll have date booked with Plate Group, I believe it is, in Losers Round 2 coming up soon.
Yeah, Couch Potatoes, they gave a good accounting of themselves, and unfortunately, the one comp that was kind of making things work for them, you can't really rely on just one thing to win you the day. Yes, it had them some fight wins, but they didn't even end up winning King's Row. And the second you ban out a piece of that, you're stuck kind of, you know, finding your own way here, finding some different comps. And they had a lot of bright spots here on Saravasa. They were not completely shut out on this map. They were able to win through market, but after that first point, after the adaptation of Suguru on this Cassidy, you just saw answer after answer attempted by Couch Potatoes one by one, none of which put together in any real consideration for synergy. So, yep, that's going to be a 3-0 for Pibble Platoon. Couch Potatoes, they made a strong effort of it. That was not like a complete shutout all the way through here, but yeah, clear head and shoulders winner here. So Pibble Platoon, got to feel really good about this moving on. Couch Potatoes, no worries. It's not as though you almost had it, but still, a good season to be sure. We'll have to see them in the next one, but yeah. Getting a quick look at what we had here ban-wise, I think there was a bit of a misstep. I think we agreed as we were looking at it every time. DPS bans from Couch Potatoes, every single map, none of which really made much of a dent in Pibble Platoon's composition.
Yeah, no, it's these triple DPS bans. I don't know about it, if I'm being honest. Like, it's not like they even went to the Freya, right? They played a bit of the Pharah and they played a bit of the Reaper, but it didn't even seem to matter. You ban out individual people. It's annoying, sure, if you're the person getting banned out, right? But if you're a team that has substitutes and you're a team that has a flicker of flexibility, it's not that much of a problem, right? So the bans from Couch Potatoes, banning out the Diva, solid. Banning out the Kiri, solid. Foundational picks that a lot of people are comfortable on. And then banning out the Cat, you know, a bit more of a comp-specific ban, I would say, is definitely the better way to just do your bans fundamentally than just banning DPS heroes, trying to ban people out individually.
Yeah, we'll have a chance to chat with both our victors and our losers here in just a second. First up is going to be an interview with some of the winning team here, Pibble Platoon, and then afterwards we'll have an interview with Couch Potatoes as they round out their season. So folks, we're going to go to a quick break while we get those things set up, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, folks. We've got an interview with two of our winners today from Pibble Platoon. We've got Geo and Ghost Town joining us. First of all, congrats to you both on the win today. I just want to ask right out the gate here, is this kind of how you thought this series was going to go? You're both coming at this from a pretty close perspective here. The 3 and 4 seed, both having tough losses in the upper bracket. Did you expect a closer match, or was this kind of the name of the game for you?
You want to go, Gio?
You go, Ghost. You go.
You sure? Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like we felt like we had it in the bag because we've played them before in the season, and it's pretty much been pretty dominant, 3-1, 3-0s, so we weren't too worried to go into this match. Gio can add on if he has anything.
Yeah, we beat them 3-0 earlier in the season, so we thought we'd win, but coming into it, they've won a few games. They've definitely improved since mid-season, so we thought it might be close, but we knew we'd win.
It was a confident win, so you have all the reason to be confident beforehand. Your confidence is justified, but for you specifically, Gio, on Saravasa, you look very, very strong on the Kiriko and the Baptiste, but on the Saravasa, you decided to roll out on the Ana. Was there any specific reason for that, or was it just I just want to play Ana on this map? It's quite fun,
yeah.
But...
Ana's definitely my favourite hero, so when I can play, I try to, but against that comp, it's just so difficult when I'm by myself. So I thought I had to swap.
Yeah, it makes sense. They were playing quite. It was interesting to see a dive mirror based on the absolute. To put it bluntly, the slot fest of a comp that they were running on Kings Road, the Roadhog, the Cat Bastion, and I just want to know how you guys reacted when that was the comp that they were running, because obviously it's getting a little bit of playtime in Korea at the moment, but seeing it here, how did you guys react to it and how did you guys overcome it?
I think our biggest mindset was when we saw the Cat Bastion, we just knew that as soon as we played angles, and as soon as the Cat and Bastion had to turn the corner and come out into us, we just had our hit scans gun them down. I was on Ursa trying to spear the Bastion and mitigate the damage from him, but aside from that, we just prioritize killing the Cat, and Bastion follows after that.
It clearly paid off. It was a bit of a difficulty to deal with at first, it looked like, but once you had it figured, it seemed like it was all you guys all day long. Yeah, I'm kind of curious, looking forward here, you're going to be going up against Play Group. I know you've played against them a couple times already this season. Are you feeling pretty confident going into that one, or is that going to be another one where you're kind of on the edge of your seat all the way through?
All the maps, every time we played Play Group, it's close. I think it's got 3-2 written all over it. And in scrims, when we scrim them, we win most of the time, so we just need to translate that to an actual game, and I think hopefully we'll win, and I think it'll be 3-2.
I think our team is much more comfortable playing into Play Group than one more team. We usually have pretty rough losses to one more team, but with Play Group, like Gio said, we tend to play pretty close, so as long as we win next one, get the winning streak going, I'm sure we can carry that onto one more team with a snowball effect.
All right, well, before we let you go, a chance for you to, thank anybody or give any shout-outs?
Yeah, just want to shout out everyone on Pibble Platoon, everyone in the server, Shadow, Peffies, and I want to shout out CGL as well, the casters, everyone putting in the work. Yeah, thank you.
I second all that, yeah. Our whole management, our team, all of CGL, the goated league.
And I want to specifically shout out Prime for walking off the map and losing the Tour Bombay one first.
All right, well, glad to hear from you both. Congrats once again on your win today, and best of luck next time against Play Group.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
See ya.
Yeah, great to hear from both of them. Clearly, they had a good time throughout the series here. But folks, we're not done just yet with interviews. We've got a chat with a couple of members of Couch Potatoes here. It is Gio, the other one this time, and Crumble joining us from the team. Happy to have you both with us. Unfortunately, the end of your season here, but still, I think you give a really good account for yourselves. I'm kind of curious, is this the sort of compositional, philosophy that you've been running with all season long, or have you been sort of adapting this getting into playoffs here?
That was the first time we ever did that.
Yeah.
I have
was.
not played Roadhog this year until now, so that was fun.
I've not played Bastion this year, I think, until today as well. So
Well, Crimble's not our hit scan. Our hit
I'm
scan's
not a hit
not
scan.
here. Our backup hit scan's not here. Crimble's our main support.
I'm the main
Our
support.
manager was on main support, so
Yeah.
we wanted to have the same fun that we saw the Asian region having. And if that means I've got such an aura downgrade that I'm now the other Geo, then so be it.
I mean, I don't think it's such an aura downgrade, right? Because I mean, I think the aura downgrade is for couch potatoes after the Torb loss, the Torb 1v1 loss right at the start of the map. To be honest, that's like the biggest aura loss throughout the entire series. But
Yeah, I think we win in that way because I won the Torb 1v1. I'm
Hearts
just
and
saying.
Minds. You know.
Hearts and Minds is with us, I'm sure.
a big crossover the 3-0. We'll just say Torb 1v1 1-0. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's what it matters.
That's the only thing that counts. That's the only thing that counts. But for the Bastion comp specifically, right? You were trying to mimic what you saw in Asia, right? Because a couple of teams, particularly Zeta Division, have been running it quite a lot. Crazy Raccoon ran it versus Team Falcons as well. And I was wondering, you run the Cat Bastion. I was hoping to see you run maybe like a Diva alongside it, or even the Zarya and Bubble the Cat. But what was the reason for going to the Roadhog specifically, Gio?
That's a great question. I mean, I was Zarya at first, but I just kept not bubbling my cat, so I was like, well, if I go Roadhog, and then while they're distracted, I get one pick. And then I had a hook rate of maybe 12%, so it was more so I was just shooting my shotgun at the big golden Orisa, and somehow it just happened to be working. Probably not my fault, probably the rest of my team doing it. I just thought I could sneak in little sneaky picks, and I didn't, but the shotgun was strong.
I mean, it does make sense. I mean, you were getting the kills with the shotgun. You land that really nice hook onto Shisui. I remember I was hyping it up. And then the kill on, so I think it was the other Geo as well. For the purpose of this call, he's the other Geo this time.
Yes, I am Geo Prime.
Yeah. Whoever I'm talking to is the real Geo. That's how it works. But after that game, I think 3-0, it doesn't really represent the last two matches. Really, I think Nepal's a little bit of a struggle. But what I want to know is the bans you guys were going for. Was it just kind of like just ban what we don't want to play against, or did you have specific bans that Pibble Platoon wanted to play? Because the Reaper ban obviously was centered or maybe targeted towards Prime, but what about the Freya and the Pharah ban?
I mean, I feel like we've just had issues with Freya in the past. Specifically, shout out Balerion. That guy is disgusting on the Freya. So I think that was just kind of an initial ban to, I don't know, just throwing out there. And then I think we banned Pharah on King's Row. That's mainly because I feel like Pharah can be pretty annoying on King's Row, and obviously we have aimbot Kevin, who's a very avid junk player, so that would make things quite difficult for him on that more kind of enclosed map.
Yeah, makes total sense. It just unfortunately was not enough for today, but just looking forward a little bit here. Yes, it's the end of this season for you guys here in the playoffs, but looking forward, what can we expect from this team in the next season, or is that still kind of up in the air right now?
Oh, well, I'm not playing tank anymore. I'm so excited. I've been counting down the days of where I don't need to play tank anymore. Couch Potatoes, we shouldn't have been in the playoffs. That was an oopsie. We just kind of wanted to play CGL and be like, that'll be a fun little thing, our little retired, washed little Couch Potatoes. I'll go back on tank and we'll have some fun. And we ended up in the playoffs and we were like, oh no, these poor other teams that are better than us. We'll be in next season? No. I'll be casting next season.
Same.
Probably a lot more than I did this season because I was in this season.
Yeah, I think
Cashiers are going to go back to one scrim a week where we swap roles constantly and have no idea what Overwatch even is.
You might see. I'm maybe thinking about staying on with CGL and maybe finding another team to play main support. So you might see me again in EU Masters. We'll have to see about that.
Plus, the members of Playgroup have been asking me and Crumble to cast them for a while, so now there's at least one chance.
True. Yeah.
All right, well, before we let you go, anyone, once again, you want to give thanks to or shout out?
Yes, I want to thank Crumble.
Oh,
What a lovely person.
that's really cringy. You're really mushing up this.
You're not gonna thank
forecast.
me. You're not gonna. Okay, I take my
No,
thanks back. I
no.
don't thank Crumble. Screw that guy. Okay, we're breaking up. Coach Sales is over.
It is.
No, thank you to our whole team, even the ones that didn't really want to do it. To our 9 to 5 head scan who plays the game once a week, from the obvious best player on the team, Aimbot Kevin, who is also in the Uniliga in Germany and likes to play Junkrat, to Malin, who has been there the whole time as a support and enables my stupid plays. And again, Felix is our flex person. Nobody, he's not here today, so we had to play Crumble on Headscan there. Gold Blooded, our lovely manager, putting up with us for
The biggest shout out.
Our one job is to click a button on the day of the week that we're free, and we forget often. And Gold likes to hear us there. So yeah, just shout out to the whole Couch Potato squad.
The Couch Potato family.
And good luck to whoever the hell's going to be the next tank, because it ain't me.
Yeah. And good luck, Pibble. And Plate.
All right, well, glad to hear from you guys. Again, sorry about the loss today, but it sounds like you're perfectly fine with it. So,
yeah.
Congrats on the season, and best of luck for whatever comes next. Yeah, one more time for Couch Potatoes.
Cheers, guys.
Woo! Woo!
Potatoes.
All right, Scott, it was great to hear from them. Yeah, I'm pleased that they were not too overly disappointed by the loss today, being surprised they made it here and having a good showing of themselves. But yeah, the bracket is not done. The playoffs still march along without them here for a Masters EU division. Yeah, the next matchup for this round of this bracket is going to be Pibble Platoon versus Play Group, and as they highlighted, they feel better at going to Play Group than to do one more team. No matter how that goes, the winner here has to face off against one more team one more time, who, as we kind of highlighted, kind of the top dog here, and there's not been a particularly close matchup between the rest of these teams in this bracket.
Yeah, but all it takes is one off day, right? You know, that's the nature of a grand final, right? There's no second chance. Of course it will be, you know, it's not a best of one, right? You do multiple maps to, you know, warm up, get in the swing of things, maybe change around the fixture, but it's only one chance. And Pibble Platoon, you seem confident, and confidence is the first step to winning in all these sorts of games. So Pibble Platoon, I believe they can beat Play Group. They said they've been winning in scrims. One more team, yeah, sure, they said they've been struggling against in scrims. Clearly, like you said, the top dog at the moment, but I see no reason that Pibble Platoon can't shock the world and upset in this bracket.
Yeah, but of course, the bracket may be well and truly, you know, taken care of for now at least, but we know there's more matches to come today. Later on this evening, Eastern time, we've got Drop the Guns versus BGSU Falcons. That is at 8 o'clock Eastern, and Unwoke Yaoi Enthusiasts versus Aura Fury for 10 p.m. Eastern time. Folks, you do not want to miss those matches. Plenty more to be had today. And of course, the weekend is still young. There's still more tomorrow as well. So we will see you in those matches. In fact, I will see you in one of those matches later on tonight. But yes, much thanks to Sky Knight, much thanks to Prod behind the scenes. Thank you to all for joining us here for more playoff action. This is just another week of it. There's still more and more to come as we get further into these brackets. But that's going to do it for us here for this evening EU time. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you in the next stream.